I had a minor run-in with a clown during that time.
Did you?
I don't know if I ever told you. But I was like walking back to my dorm, and like it was the one right next to the one me and Matt were living in, and someone like popped out the door, and I think I did find out later it was someone I knew, but they just kind of were like, "Hey, Nick." I was like, "Hey." I just kind of stood there because I didn't know what else to say, and I was like, if he starts running at me, do I start bringing my leg back? Do I get ready for a kick here? Like, do I go, all right, it's going down. This is the night.
That's wild.
Welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List, the show that got its title because popcorn consists of 70% of my weekly diet. That's right. My doctors have warned me for a while now, but I'm not listening to them.
Who's got the best popcorn in town?
Ooh, some of the best popcorn in town. Obviously, I'm not just saying this. Marshall 6 has really good. I like, I think it's Legion Field, where the baseball field is. I like their popcorn.
Okay.
There's pretty good, too. That'd be like a honorable mention there.
All right.
Look out for my blog, my email blast for all the popcorn in Marshall. But let's move on right into the opening spotlight. What has been going on in the movie world? Don't Worry, Darling makes its money despite all the drama and the Avatar re-release. Its box office returns show some good promise for the sequel. These are the topics we would have been talking about today had not yesterday Ryan Reynolds blew the doors off of social media. Confirmed, so apparently, Hugh Jackman will be returning as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, which will be released as of right now in September 2024. So we got a little time to wait here.
Yes.
But so in classic Ryan Reynolds fashion, I've always said this, he either has a great marketing brain or he has a great marketing team held hostage in his basement or something like that. Because he always finds these fun ways to announce his stuff and everything.
Yes,
and he continued
he
it here, apparently confirming Hugh Jackman's coming back. But I'm curious, what's your opinion on this?
Like I don't know. And how big is the cameo going to be? Is it going to be like, or I shouldn't say how big is the role going to be? Is it going to be like a buddy, hey, I didn't like you, but now we're friends. Let's fight some bad guys. Or is it going to be like a literally 5-minute cameo? Is
it going to be buddy cop movie with Wolverine and Deadpool? Or is it going to be a 5-second thing like in X-Men First Class?
Yeah.
Where he showed up for like a second and then left. Arguably one of the greatest cameos ever. Don't get me wrong. But they just said he's showing up. Who's to say how big his role is going to be?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just because he's in it doesn't mean it's going to be about him.
This
could be just, they could have a whole different storyline and, oh yeah, we're bringing Wolverine back and everybody loses it. And it's like, oh, he was in like, Bryan Cranston in Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he could.
Great example. The whole marketing behind that was literally because like this was either right towards the end or Breaking Bad had like just ended. So he's on that Heisenberg high.
Yep.
As one of the greatest, most coolest, killingest characters, and then he's gonna go up against Godzilla. Like it was framed as Heisenberg versus Godzilla.
Yes,
he's in the movie for 5 minutes and then he dies. Spoiler alert. Sorry, movie's been out for over 10 years.
Yeah, and he's done. And then
it's like Quicksilver and Wanda against Godzilla, but not really.
Yeah.
But to the bigger point here, I'm gonna say maybe an unpopular opinion. I'm not a big fan of this. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I want Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. And they say it's not going to affect the ending of Logan and all that. But granted, that was still such a perfect ending for that actor and that character.
It was.
It really sealed it.
Yep. It's almost like I don't want to. It's like it's weird to say. It's almost like a prequel to that because, like you said, Logan was a fantastic film, and it was got that R rating too, which we all wanted was an R-rated Wolverine movie.
Just feels like the easy answer.
Yeah,
it just felt like they didn't want to tick people off. But here's my counter to that: casting Hugh Jackman in the first place was the hard answer back in the day. Mm-hmm. Nobody was happy about this. I think people forget about this. When Hugh Jackman was cast as Wolverine way back in 2000. Nobody liked this. He was an unknown actor. He didn't really fit the bill, it seemed like, for Wolverine. A lot of people didn't like this.
Yeah.
Then the movie came out, and everyone loves him. And that's what I find so ironic about it now is, like, everyone's oh, great, Hugh Jackman's back. Did they all forget? Nobody liked this.
They didn't like
how
him.
soon they forget.
Yes, and I wouldn't. It wouldn't be crazy to think that even though they kind of introduced at the end of Logan that girl, can't remember her name, kind of hinted like, oh hey, this could be the next, and maybe they're gonna do something like that with this with Deadpool, and it could just be like a quick 5-minute thing. Hey, here's this character that possibly could become the Wolverine of moving forward. So it was interesting, but I agree with you. I think sometimes you just
I feel like
he has to move on, but the character needs some changes.
Yeah, because again, I feel like it would be cooler if they did maybe a hard answer again and see if they could. And it doesn't always work out, granted, but I thought we could end this a fun little exercise here because I was curious. So I just Googled list of Canadian actors because I wanted to see like, well, who would I pick maybe? Yep. So I want to run through some of them here. Some of these guys I actually didn't know were Canadian. So
why did they have to be Canadian?
Well, because Wolverine is Canadian, so okay. it was just an easier. If I just typed in list of actors, we'd be here for 3 hours. So I just want to condense it a little bit. But when you type in list, I just thought this would be funny because when you type in list of actors, of course Google doesn't know you're looking for Wolverine. But here's like the first few ones that show up that I now kind of want to see as Wolverine, just as a joke. First one that comes up in list of Canadian actors, Jay Bartshell. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's the kind of like, you got it, voice of the How to Train Your Dragon guy.
This is the end,
Could you imagine him being like, all right, bub, let's go. Ryan Gosling is up there. I don't know, maybe he could do good as Wolverine. Jim Carrey. He's already done The Mask. He could do action.
He could do, yeah.
Michael Cera.
Cast him. Michael Cera right now.
Yeah. Will Arnett. I didn't know he was a Canadian actor. Maybe a little bit older, but could have worked. Mike Myers as Wolverine. How about that?
That'd be pretty cool.
Do I make you stabby, baby? Do I? Keanu Reeves. This was a fan casting for a while cool. there. That one would have been worked, I think. Let's see. What are some of the other ones? This one I want to hear your opinion on. Someone who I did not know was a Canadian actor, Hayden Christensen.
Ooh, okay.
I think he could do Wolverine.
That'd be cool.
Let's look at some of the other Canadian actors here just real quick. Eugene Levy, Matthew Perry. I'm just running through a few of them here. Howie Mandel.
He's a germ freak. Do you know that?
Well, he wouldn't have to worry about germs because he's got self-healing now.
That's true, yeah.
So it would cure him of it. But the last one I would actually like to throw out there that I think could do this role, Stephen Amell. He's known in the superhero genre as Arrow in the CW series. He's got the beard. He knows how to fight. He can do stunts. That was always the strongest part of that show for me, was that he was a lot of times doing his own stunts. He could do it, I think. So
Can I give you my suggestion real quick?
Please do.
The one and only Harry Potter.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up.
Yep, the one and only Daniel Radcliffe.
Because again, I would not be against this because it's the least likely answer, but that's what Hugh Jackman was.
Yep, and I liked Guns Akimbo with him. He kind of saw him as a weird, crazy guy with guns on his hands. He knows how to
act with weapons on his hands. So it's right there.
Yeah, I saw some like fan art, I guess, and I was like, you know what? That looks super cool, and I think he would do a great job.
Yeah, I think so too. But that was the big news here. Let's move into this weekend with the weekly preview, talk about what is coming out, what we think about it. Already out by the time this video comes out on Wednesday, September 28th, Blonde. This is coming straight to Netflix, a Marilyn Monroe biopic starring Ana de Armas. It looks like this kind of takes a dark and trippy turn, and I'm not just talking about switching from color to black and white multiple times throughout the movie. I'm assuming there's a reason for that, but yeah, multiple times it keeps switching from black and white to color to black and white to color. Yep. So we'll have to see what that means and everything.
And I think it's a different take on Marilyn Monroe compared to other things that have been about her.
Well, when you think about Marilyn Monroe, she is one of the quintessential, if you think of American actresses with the glamorous life.
A Hollywood icon.
Great singing voice. beautiful, like Helen of Troy levels
Yep.
almost.
Yep.
And it does seem like this movie is going to look into like, look, that was all a front. Hollywood acting is stressful, especially for a woman in Hollywood, especially at this time. I mean,
all kinds of stuff.
I can't even think of who would be a good comparison nowadays for what she was back then. But I've kind of given my thoughts on biopics before, so I'm not a big fan of them generally. We'll see how this goes.
There's a lot of buzz about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is Ana de Armas going for her Oscar, I think, probably. So, but then Friday, September 30th, as we move into the weekend, the big theater releases. First things first, we got Bros. It's basically got all the characteristics of a rom-com, but it's centered more around two gay guys story kind of thing. But so that's at least new. My biggest thing with rom-coms is they're all so
it's rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
rinse and
it's
repeat.
rinse
They're
and
all
repeat.
the same.
But just looking at this trailer, there's a few times I laugh, but I'm still looking at it like it's still a rom-com. It's still got all those characteristics, but at least a different group of people other than two white leads or male, female are being represented here. So at least that's something different. Yeah. And I do appreciate that. But
and I think some of the quote unquote woke, like they have that scene where they're in the meeting and they're complaining, I only get a day, I get a month, you get a week. Like that was really funny.
I did like those scenes.
And I think funny. If they kind of explore that kind of comedy area, I think it'll be hopefully it'll be pretty funny.
Yeah. Also coming out that same day to theaters is Smile, a horror movie where a demon basically gives people the Joker disease. There it is. Yeah, that's a good smile. This is a horror movie to me right off the bat because when someone says smile, it usually means they're taking my picture, and I don't like people taking my picture. Nope. Which is ironic because I'm here on camera now with 3 cameras in front of me, but that's not the point. The point is I've got to pose for it, and I smile wrong. Yeah, Mom, I'm talking to you directly on that one.
Yeah, and
they smile wrong.
They had kind of a weird marketing campaign because they were paying people to go places and just stand and smile and look creepy. I did see an article about them like blowing up on like Twitter and other things that were promoting for this movie, and they were just standing in places and like smiling, and it was goofy, but it's cool. It's something new. Kind of
the smiles are creepy. I'll give them that.
Kind of, I think it goes back to the clown, like everybody was dressing up as clowns.
Oh God,
that's what it's reminding me of.
I legitimately hated that era. Like that was the moment where I was like, human society should just pack it in. Like if the asteroid was gonna come, let's make it now. I'm just
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back to the Marshall 6 Movie Minute. Now, earlier in the episode, you heard Nick say that Marshall 6 had the best popcorn, and I believe him 100%. But do you believe him? This is your choice. This is your chance to come out, try their popcorn. Get a large popcorn. Why don't you get the R&R combo? A little Reese's, a little drink. Mix it up. So make sure to stop by the Marshall 6 Movie Theater and get your combo today.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Also coming out this weekend, straight to Disney Plus, Hocus Pocus 2. The sequel to the cult classic Hocus Pocus. Unpopular opinion alert. I'm full of these today. I don't know what it is. I'm just negative Nancy today. Negative Nick. I'm negative Nick. That works better. I don't get all of the hype around this Halloween movie.
I am super excited. I wish it was coming to theaters.
You're a big fan? You're a big Hocus Pocus fan?
Loved Hocus Pocus when I was a kid. That and the other Disney one, Screamtown?
Halloween Town.
Okay,
that's my point, actually. I think that one's better. I like that one better. I never got why that one didn't like take off more in the zeitgeist. Granted, it had more like direct to DVD or TV DVD sequels.
Yeah.
But I never got why that one didn't like take off more.
I think that's the crutch is if Hocus Pocus would have switched spots with Halloween Town and done the sequels and stuff, I don't think it'd be as big as it is now. But because there's only one and it came out one time and that was it, I think that's why there's such that following for it. Whereas if they would have had the or Hocus Pocus 2 and then the third one or however many there are now,
Hocus Pocus 3, Hocus Pocus here.
yeah, it wouldn't be as, and it would be like we'd be getting a Halloween Town 2 this year instead of a Hocus Pocus 2.
I'd be more down with that, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not big into this whole universe. But I don't know. I'm not thinking this one's going to be very good.
I'm going to say this, and Disney, don't come after me. But
come after him. Go.
I am going to watch it in a movie theater. So,
in other news, applications are now open for a new co-host for Popcorn Bucket List, just in case.
Disney's going to get me.
Just in case they get you. Also coming out this weekend, The Greatest Beer Run Ever. This one's coming straight to Apple TV+. A Zac Efron movie about a guy delivering beer to all his New York neighbors and buddies who are all fighting in Vietnam. This is apparently based off of a true story. And I was just kind of reading the synopsis. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. As I was watching the trailer, though, I just kind of had a bad feeling about it. At first, I didn't like how funny they were making this beer run. I'm like, this was Vietnam. This was one of the most confusing, reckless, terrible times for the world. When you look at, I'm not going to get into the whole historical. I'm not going to give you the historical TED Talk here. This is a movie show. We're not talking history. But then there is a point in the trailer where it does kind of flip, and I think it's on purpose. Where they're he does the easy ones first. These are the guys based way outside of the fighting. He's like, yeah, this is a fun thing. I'm finally doing something with my life. And then he gets to the one friend. He's like, what are you doing here? This is one of the worst areas to be in. And then it starts taking it seriously. And I was like, oh, that was the point they were going for here. Is they were taking it a little too jokey. I don't know if that's a word. But then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, you need to be taking this seriously. This is Vietnam in 1967.
Yeah. And I think Zac Efron is one of those actors that can do the half the movie's funny, and then serious. Everything's serious. Not everything's serious, but a much more serious tone. And I think as long as they do that right, I think it'll be a good movie and a meaningful movie.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing this because he is great at musicals. I like seeing him in musicals. But there was a point in time where he was actively avoiding them just so he could try and shed that High School Musical phase of them. And I'm hoping this is kind of going to shade the last remnants because I like to see him in musicals. But I get where he's coming from.
Yep.
And finally, coming out to this weekend, My Best Friend's Exorcism. This is coming straight to Amazon. The title presents a much funnier movie than I think we're going to get with this one, personally. But it is brought to us by the guy who made Happy Death Day and Freaky. Both movies I really enjoy.
Yep.
I think he's really locked down on horror comedy. This movie looks like it was something he pitched to the studios and they weren't fully on board. And they're like, we'll give him the bare minimum budget on this one. Because there's a couple shots in here. I'm like,
is that GoPro?
Okay. Was that fire? Was that okay? Glad you guys pulled out Windows Movie Maker on that one. But I'd like to be surprised. Maybe sometimes lower budgets help these horror movies.
That's true.
So.
That is very true. Horror movies are the kings of lower budget movies because a lot of that stuff you got to, we can't afford to do it that way. How are we going to do it?
But let's move on to some number one recommends. We were kind of talking before the show. Ryan, you have a busier plate than my plate at Thanksgiving.
Sure.
So you don't really have any recommends. That's fine. If you knew half the stuff that was going on here, you'd understand. So I'm going to take it over here for number one recommends. I finished this. I don't binge watch a lot of things. I really don't. There's many reasons for that. One of the few things, though, that I have binge watched is Cobra Kai. That show, that universe sucks me in, and I cannot stop watching it. Season 5 just dropped. Admittedly, it's not as good, in my opinion, as the last few seasons, but there's still a lot here that I think is worth checking out. They bring back pretty much every character that's been in the originals so far, but it's a lot of the times they do them well, and they do them even better than they did in the movies. I mean, they took Chosen, one of the biggest villains in that second one, who tried to kill Ralph Macchio in the second one, and he's my favorite character out of all of them by this point, thanks to this season. He's my favorite. Like, if we're going to have another spinoff, I want to see a Chosen spinoff. That's all I'm going to say. And that is going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you have any of your own movie or TV show recommendations, just things you've been watching recently, let us know. And for myself and Ryan Meyerberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.